I'm Liz Watkins. I want to read this for the record. Dear Mayor Hayward, it has come to my attention that the IP address for Dick's blog has been traced to Derek Cosson, one of your employees at City Hall. The Sheriff's Office conducted an investigation of Dick's blog as a result of a complaint filed by Rick Outson. A copy of the investigation is attached. As you well know, the blog was critical of City Council members and others in the community. While the anonymous blog presented itself as a satirical rebuttal of Rick Outson's work in The Independent, many of the posts were mean-spirited as well as inappropriate. I also would like to bring to your attention another incident related to Cosson. He asked for a meeting with Joe Vinson, who works for the Studer Institute, and discouraged him from running for a City Council seat against Councilman Larry Johnson. Cosson made insinuations that Vinson interpreted as threats. Cosson said that Councilman Johnson had asked Cosson to talk to Vinson. During the meeting, Cosson said that the mayor's allies would conduct a negative campaign against Vinson if he decided to run against Johnson. Vinson, who used to work for the Appleyard Agency, had just accepted a position with the Institute. What Cosson didn't know is that the Institute prohibits its employees from running for political office. The most disappointing aspect of these events, however, is that the business address for Dick's blog has been traced to the Azalea Lounge, which is owned by Councilman Johnson. I request that you conduct an investigation of Cosson as well as his connection to Johnson. The Sheriff's Office and State's Attorney's Office have reviewed the complaint filed by Outson and determined no laws had been broken in the case of the blog. However, I have asked the State's Attorney's Office to look into comments Cosson made to Vinson to see if any laws were broken. In some states, it is against the law for public employees to engage in political activity. I have not filed a formal complaint. I have simply asked what the law is concerning the political activities of public employees. Even if no law has been broken, I cannot imagine that this is the kind of behavior you would condone at City Hall. Another matter that needs to be investigated is whether Johnson violated the city charter. As you well know, Johnson recently criticized Councilwoman Sherri Myers for contacting city employees. The city charter requires council members to deal with the employees through the mayor, said Johnson at the end of a recent council meeting. I am concerned that this council member has violated that requirement of the charter. I'm deeply concerned that this council member has interfered with the administration by contacting city employees directly. End of quote. I have known Johnson for a long time. I find it hard to believe he would support the blog that was traced to Cosson's home. But taxpayers and citizens need to know if Cosson was indeed the person behind the blog and whether he was acting alone or in cooperation with the city councilman.
Thank you, Ms. Watson. And
it's Watkins, W-A-T-K-I-N-S.
Thank you, Ms. Watkins. And, of course, there is an investigation being going on, and we hope to hear from that soon. So thank you.
Why, when I brought this to your attention in June, I said we knew who was behind Dick's blog, and I brought it to your attention and nothing was done.
An investigation is being conducted. As soon as independent investigation is being conducted, as soon as we get the information, so will you.
Okay.
And that is where we are with it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Councilwoman Myers.
Yes, I wanted to ask if she can finish reading the letter. It shouldn't take but a minute. And also I wanted to find out from the, I don't know, is Mr. the mayor's designee isn't here tonight, what the status of this investigation is. The letter, what's the date on it? September the 2nd. That's been over a month. And the city is paying for an attorney to investigate this, though there's no contract to prove it. So I just wanted to know what the status of it is.
Yes, ma'am, if we will give the status of that.
Is there any reason she can't finish reading the letter?
Well, other people who may go over the time limit may also want to complete theirs, and so I want to be consistent. Well, you cannot concede your time, ma'am.
We do have another open forum. I don't think the council meeting will last very long tonight. There's not that much on the agenda, so perhaps you could stay and fill out another card and finish reading the letter if you so desire?
I'll make a note on this card and call her when we have the board forum at the end. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, but I do have 2 more meetings to go to. I'm going to submit this to Erica, and I will come to the next meeting and finish it.
You won't have to come back. I'll finish reading it for you during council communications.
All right, thank you.
And we have received, I have received that letter as well. So we have all received that letter. We are now on the mayor's report. Mr. Barker.
I don't have anything to report, Madam President. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Councilwoman Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was wondering if I could ask Mr. Walker something very quickly.
Okay, yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Mr. Barker, before we get into the council communications, and I have to call a point of order, I was going to ask you or one of the attorneys that we have present here, city attorney or the assistant city attorney, if it's appropriate for any council persons to comment on an employee when there is an investigation going on, such as the letter that was read by the lady. I think that there's a council person that said that they were going to finish that letter, and I wonder if it's appropriate to do that while we have an investigation going on until that investigation is complete.
Madam President and
Yes.
Councilman Johnson, I will defer that to the attorney.
Mr. Messer, then, Madam
Mr.
Chair?
Messer or Mr. Wells? Mr. Messer?
Well, I guess you can pick your poison, but if you pick me first, I would say that it's certainly appropriate to comment on it. I mean, it's a First Amendment issue, it's a municipal law issue, it's a public issue, so I don't know why it wouldn't be appropriate. Mr. Wells may have a different opinion. I don't know. I haven't discussed it with him. I don't know what you do if both attorneys have a tie vote. Somebody's got to break it. I guess we defer to one of the other speakers.
You're fine, Mr. Messer. Councilwoman Myers.
Well, I'd like to note for the record that this letter has been published in the press, and I think that it was discussed at the last city council meeting regarding the attorney fees that we are paying for this investigation. And so I don't see a problem with it, and certainly I don't see a problem with asking about that portion of the investigation having to do with a city council person. I have not been told that it's inappropriate, that it's confidential, so we haven't been given that information. We would rely on our city attorney to provide that information for us, and like I said, it has been published in the press, and so I don't think it's any secret.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Wingate, do you have a comment on the council community?
Yeah, I would say maybe we should just set aside a moment of silence so we can all finish reading the rest of the letter. We've all got a copy of it.
Right, we should have already read that letter. We all got a copy of that letter for you in there. Councilman Myers.
Yes, I would like to finish, read the rest of this letter into the record.
Go ahead.
This is where Liz Watkins stopped. It is simply wrong for public employees on the payroll of City Hall to intimidate citizens who are thinking about running for City Council. We need good people to run for office, and Joe Vinson is one of the finest people I know. He represents a kind of integrity and person we should encourage to run for office, not threaten. We also do not need people at City Hall creating anonymous blogs that insult and intimidate people who oppose you. If Cosson is indeed the author of the blog, he knew the site and his post were wrong, or he would have used his name on the blog rather than hiding behind an anonymous identity. So many wonderful things have happened in our community since you took office, referring to the mayor. Pensacola is a better place since you became mayor. That is why I strongly encourage you to investigate this matter. I also ask that you appoint an independent third party to look into the matter. Or if you have questions, please feel free to contact me. I won't give his contact number. My hope is you will take aggressive actions to ensure that a culture of corruption, which you well know has plagued our community for decades, does not take root in City Hall. Sincerely, Randy Hammer.
Thank you.
Beth Perry, 622 West Belmont Street, Pensacola. Councilperson Myers has already done what I was going to do, finish reading the letter that Liz Watkins started. And I want to thank her for getting the rest of it into the record, especially with regards to the city charter and ethical practices. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other cards, having no other cards, meeting adjourned. Have a great night.